Greetings! Today, in this video, I would like to talk about the early laptop or mobile computers of the 1980s and how you can make your own authentic 1980s mobile computer for a fraction of the price that is arguably even more mobile. This may be of interest to people who want to experience early authentic mobile computing, or others who work in TV or film that may have a project set in the 1980s and want to include realistic early to mid 1980s mobile computing. In the very early days, there were portable computers like the Epson HX20 and various brands of the TRS-80 Model 100, which were impressive, but they could only display a few lines of text, no real graphics so to speak of. One of the first proper laptops to hit the shelves for people to buy was the Osborne 1 that came out in 1981, a beautifully hideous carrion block of a computer that weighed in at almost 11 kilograms. It had no battery, but it did have a couple of 5.25-inch disk drives that could store around 90k of data each. It retailed at almost $1,800, which is quite a lot of money in those days. Then, at the tail end of 1983, you saw things like the Commodore SX64, a beautiful commercial failure of early mobile computing that also had no battery. It weighed slightly less at just over 10 kilograms. It was essentially a Commodore 64 with a built-in tiny tele and a 5.25-inch disk drive, and it cost just under $1,000 upon release. This had me thinking, surely there are better, more cost-effective ways to do this in the 1980s. The war of the microcomputers had already begun. Some computers were the size of small keyboards, although an external media device would have been needed. A new golden age of caravanning had also begun, and thus the need for smaller, more travel-friendly household items. Items like this tiny black and white 4.5-inch cubic television. This is a Seisho branded model, released sometime in the mid-1980s. Seisho were a brand owned by Dixons in the UK. Dixons were an electrical appliance giant in the 1980s UK and had several own brands of various electrical products. Brands like Seisho as well as Matsui and Carlton. A tiny television like this will be perfect for our mobile computer. Now, let's have a closer look at this cubic curiosity. At the top of the cubic miniature television, you see the digital alarm clock buttons, because this is not just a miniature television, this is also a digital radio alarm clock. How marvellous. There are the radio and TV tuners. Now, let's switch it on. Did you hear that satisfying switch sound? And there is the beautiful static on that miniature curved screen. Marvellous. And at the side of the television, we have the tuning dials. One for radio, one for television, and one for the volume. And if we play with the television dial, obviously there are no analog signals being broadcast anymore, but wouldn't it be funny if we find, ooh, what is this? Nope, just a different type of static. Wouldn't it be funny if we did find a pirate analog television station still being broadcast? But I don't think we will. Still, it's fun to play with. I am going to show you the radio function now. That is medium wave. Let's try FM and tune in a FM radio station. Oh yes. Yes, excellent. This is more like it. Marvellous. Classic FM, I believe. And at the back we have the hold, the contrast and the brightness dials. But how will we plug in our microcomputer into that miniature antenna input? By using this little fellow, of course, this female coax to 3.5mm mono jack converter. You can pick this up at any good electrical store. I think it's rather sweet, isn't it? Just plug it in like so. So, we have a screen for our mobile computer. Next, we have to choose a microcomputer to connect to it. There are numerous examples of microcomputers from the 1980s we could use, but today we're going to choose from 3 of them. Here they are. So here are my 3 candidates, 3 lovely Sinclair Spectrums. The first one being the ZX Spectrum Plus 2, a beautiful device with 128K memory, and it also has its own onboard tape deck, which is rather lovely, but I think this might bulk out the mobile computer maybe a bit too much. Next we have the ZX Spectrum Plus, which is essentially the same as the original ZX Spectrum with a hard plastic shell and keys. But next is the original Sinclair Spectrum ZX with its beautiful tactile rubber keys. It's so small and compact. I think this is the one. Now, as we all know, people in the 1980s used to carry everything that was deemed portable in shopping or grocery bags. To be officially classed as mobile or portable, this mobile computer will have to fit and comfortably be carried in said bag. This simple bag will be used to test the portableness of our mobile computer setup. I will now proceed to fill this bag up with all the parts of our mobile computer. The miniature television complete with RF adapter. The Sinclair ZX Spectrum microcomputer. The original power supply for the ZX Spectrum microcomputer. The ZX Spectrum RF television lead. A generic 1980s computer-compatible cassette deck. Power cable for cassette deck. And finally the ear and mic cable of the cassette deck. I will now perform the carry test. Yes, it's about 6 or 7 kilograms. I am now walking with the bag. Yes, it is quite comfortable indeed. Yes, about 7 kilograms, much less than the mobile computers of the day. Excellent. So now we have our mobile or portable computer out of the bag and all set up, connected, ready to go. Let's switch on the miniature television. Beautiful, fabulous. Now, as much as I like the sound of static, bedlam of static sound, I will turn the volume down so you can hear me. And of course, the Sinclair ZX has an inbuilt speaker. Now there you can see me tuning the tuning dial to try and find the analog channel for the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. let's try going up again. Keep going. Is that something? No. Let's go up a bit more. Perhaps I should have gone all the way down instead. You only have to do this once you're tuned in, unless the tuning dial moves in transit, then you will have to retune to your appropriate computer. And there it is. Marvellous, beautiful. There is static in the background. I'm not sure if you can pick that up from the camera there. Yes, it's quite noticeable to me. I may actually change this Sinclair ZX for the Sinclair ZX Plus, because I know the RF connector on this particular model can be quite troublesome. So I have changed to the Sinclair ZX Plus. Lovely plastic keyboard there, and I'm not sure if you can see the static background has gone. It's a much clearer picture. I don't think it will add that much weight to the weight test. When it is in the bag, it is quite a similar weight, even though a little bit bigger. So the lovely little game I've decided to load today is Predator, released 1987. The tape has now been fully rewound, so now we can load the program. The good thing about the ZX Plus is its singular load key there. Now we do 2 speech marks, then the enter key, so we can now press play or load the tape like so. Now we get some flashing on the screen, which should be followed by the sound of the tape loading. The time is 12:34. Let's see how long it takes to load. And there it is, music to my ears. The sound of a program loading. This may be a while. In under 2 minutes, we are presented with this beautiful loading screen. And 2 more minutes later, and we have the title screen music, and it's mixed with the sounds of the tape loading, and it sounds glorious. I will now press the enter key as the tape data loading sounds have stopped. And there you can see we are treated to the introduction of this Predator game. Beautiful graphics. Can I skip this? I don't think so. Doesn't it look wonderful on this micro television? But I don't think I can skip this. It turns out it is still loading. I think this has now finished loading despite the sound, so I will stop the tape as we are now on the main title screen. 12:45 it says at the top of this micro black and white television. So that is 10 minutes of loading time to play a game that takes about 10 minutes to complete. But isn't this a marvellous setup? Look at it. And doesn't it look so crisp and clear on this minute black and white television? It probably doesn't come across that nice on the camera, but please take my word for it. Just do a quick demonstration, but I can't remember the keyboard controls for this game. Anyway, now the program has been loaded, we can now disconnect the tape deck. This will make it slightly more mobile for our experiment. I will now test the portableness and mobility of our setup using this miniature vintage Poang chair. Isn't it lovely? we are. As you can see, I'm using this mobile setup quite nicely, very comfortable with the miniature television in between my knees. Much more agile than the official laptops of the early 1980s. And there you have it. You can officially build an authentic early 1980s mobile computer setup for the fraction of the price of what laptops of that era actually cost, and the setup is arguably more portable. Remember, you can use any small television or microcomputer of the time. Experiment with a few different setups and have fun. Maybe take it on your family holidays or vacation, where the whole family can enjoy an authentic early to mid 1980s experience. I do so hope you enjoyed this experiment with me, and I hope you join me again for some more fun and frolics. Until next time.